Hey everyone, Sergio with the Rideshare Guy. Today, I have a very special episode actually for our Behind the Wheel series. I'm here with TJ. He at the moment he's in New York, but he's the traveling Uber Lyft driver, and I'm fascinated by the story, and but I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll get going.
Hi guys, hi Serge. I just want to say I'm a big fan of the Rideshare Guy channel. I appreciate everything you guys do, and I've learned a lot through here. Basically, I'm in the Long Island market, New York City suburbs, and I drove part time for a few years. I've done a few thousand rides, and this year I decided to embark on a new kind of journey. I'm lifting across the U.S. and so far it's been a journey. Basically, I'll go to a different city, stay for about a month or a week or so, and I have a big picture plan from this trip to hopefully settle down in one of these cities, maybe buy a house. And so far I've been gone since February. I've been started down in Florida. I was in Tampa for about a month,
No, hold
Orlando.
on, TJ, hold on. You're going too fast. I want to know more about you. I want to. Okay, so how long you been doing Uber and Lyft? Or well, you said lifting, so I'm assuming you're only using Lyft for this adventure.
Yes, so with Uber, I
Yeah,
could drive in the New York state other than New York City because I don't have a TLC
yeah.
designation, and I could also drive in New Jersey with Uber.
Okay, okay,
But there's about 30 out of 50 states that I could do Lyft in with a New York registration, license, and insurance.
okay,
Most of the states I could go in and be active right away. I could go right online, sign in, and start working. There's a few of the states that I have to contact the Lyft chat support, and usually it's pretty instant that they'll switch me over
okay,
and I could start working there. But
okay,
there are some states, for example, like the Four Corner states, Oregon, Texas, about half of New England, that I would need probably an in-state registration or a few extra steps
okay,
in order to be able to work in those states. But I'm
okay.
trying to
So
stick to the main states.
okay, so you're gonna hit 30, let's say. Yeah, I do know that the restrictions on Uber switching city states is a little bit difficult. Lyft is more lenient when it comes to that kind of traveling that you're doing. So if I don't ask you, people would want to know, how did you get into rideshare? What did you do before rideshare? And I mean, are you a full-time driver now, part-time? Do you have a W-2? What's going on?
So as of this year, when I started this trip in February, I am a full-time Lyft driver
Okay,
and Uber.
okay,
Um, the past 2 years, I drove part-time, did a few thousand rides, and I also, for the last decade or so, have delivered and managed the catering and delivery operations at a local pizzeria
okay,
in the New York City suburbs,
okay,
which is it's a busy pizzeria.
okay.
So I've been there for a while. Now I'm looking to branch out and buy a house in another city, and that's kind of what sparked this whole lift across the U.S. trip.
Interesting, interesting. So, what kind of car do you drive, by the way?
I just got a Toyota Prius in November of last year, and it's a 2014. I got it with 130,000 miles, and it's the best investment I've ever made.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely the perfect car because for what they're paying you
Absolutely.
these days, that's what they
Yeah.
deserve. That's about
Yep.
it. You know, I'll ask you this too, but when you're driving in New York, obviously, the suburbs and Long Island and whatever, you can't go into the city. We know that.
Yeah.
Um, are you a cherry picker or are you an ant?
I am a one percenter, the cherry picker. So, sometimes closer to 0%. And
0%. Holy crap. Yeah, you're a
yeah,
driver.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can tell you're watching us then.
And of more recently, it's been lower. I
Well,
used to accept a little bit more, but as you and we all know, the rates have been lower just about everywhere.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So lifting across the US, I love the idea. I may just get in touch with the I have a lot of contacts at these companies.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I would have put you on that because they were doing, like we're doing the behind the wheel series, right? We've been doing it for a couple
Yeah.
of years. So Uber actually copied us, called it behind the wheel series. They did a couple their own, but then they put a Kool-Aid drinker there, and then it didn't work out, right? And and then Lyft did the same thing called driver's corner, right? Or something
Okay.
like that. Driver's seat. They did a couple episodes and then they stopped as well because all they're doing is just, you know, Kool-Aid drinkers. They just come on and go,
Yeah.
la la la, everything is so great. Everything is, I'm like, bro, it doesn't work like
Of
that.
course. Of course.
But anyway, so let's get back to this lifting across the US, right?
Yep.
Okay. So far, how many states have you hit?
Um, okay, so city-wise, I've done a few cities in Florida. I did
Okay.
Tampa for about a month. I was in Orlando for a month.
Okay.
Um, Oklahoma City for a week.
No, okay, so let's stay with state by state first. So Tampa and Orlando. What did you think
Tampa,
of that
Orlando.
market? What did you think? Because you did it for a month. So what did you think of that market? I'm assuming you don't sleep in your car. Um,
No.
right? So what do you do? Like you go to so you went to Florida, you went to Orlando, you're doing trips. What do you like have a motel room or a Airbnb or what do you do?
So generally, if I go to a city and I have friends or family, I'll
Okay.
usually stay for a week. Tampa, in that special case, was a month. I have
Okay.
family there.
Okay.
Um, Orlando, I don't really know anybody there.
Okay.
One of my friends who actually drives for Lyft, shout out Alex Decolator, also from New York. He's a Lyft driver.
Okay.
He met me down in Orlando. We split
Okay.
an apartment there for the month,
Okay.
and same case with Kansas City.
Okay.
So if I have friends or family, usually I'll stop by for a week and stay with them,
Okay.
or I'll get an apartment for the month on
Okay, so
Airbnb, a
so
monthly
how
rental.
how did you find out? I mean, obviously, driving takes learning, right? I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely.
in a month, you're not going to figure much out, but then maybe you're a fast learner. So you're in Orlando, you're in Tampa. What did you think of that market? Compare it to your New York market, right? Because that's your original market. So what did you think of
Yes.
that market? What were the pluses? What were the minuses? Or what was the pros and cons of switching to Orlando and Tampa?
So I actually was in Florida first, in Orlando and Tampa,
Yeah,
because strategically you want to be there during February, March, during the winter when a lot of Northerners are down vacationing in Florida.
yeah.
So I thought the markets were pretty busy. Tampa, for instance, on the weekends, the bar crowd, the weekend nights, it was very busy. There were some surges going on,
Okay.
and you could make. There were some days where I was doing over 400,
Okay.
and Orlando, very Disney-based market, not
Yeah.
as much nightlife. A lot of airport very busy. MCO airport very busy. A lot
Okay.
of drivers though. Overall, Tampa was better than Orlando pay
Okay.
wise. There was a ton of traffic. There's a ton of people in Florida that time of the year,
Yeah.
and that's kind of part of learning these cities. You got to learn the traffic, the seasonality, the layouts, the infrastructure. Every city is very different.
Okay. So you did your Florida trip. Now you're
Yep.
going to where'd you go next?
I stopped in Houston to see a friend for shortly for about a week. I wasn't able to do Uber or Lyft there. I did
Okay.
do a little bit of DoorDash, but my next destination was Oklahoma City. My
Okay.
uncle lives out there. I stayed for a
Okay.
week,
So
and
why did you decide to go there and what's there? Because you're like the map of the US now. So
yeah.
what what made you to go to Oklahoma City?
So I'm looking at, like I said, buying a house in the future possibly. So before I get to these places, I'm looking at Zillow, looking at house prices,
Oh, okay.
and I'm looking at cost of living and things to do. And I really have never been to. I've traveled a lot, but I've
Okay.
never been to a lot of the middle of the U.S. So I
Okay.
kind of wanted to see what's out there in the Midwest.
Okay.
And if I have friends and family out there, it's even more of a reason to take the trip.
Okay. So
And
how was that market?
it was surprisingly good.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
Oklahoma City, the airport's a little bit smaller, but there's
Yeah.
far fewer drivers in the
Okay.
Midwest in
Okay.
general.
Okay.
Um, Oklahoma City and Kansas City, there were much fewer drivers, less oversaturation in the market,
Okay.
and I was able to do pretty well. And what I've kind of found out about most of the U.S., there are some exception cities, is you generally don't make too much more. I mean, maybe New York City or San Fran or Boston, the top tier one cities,
Yeah,
maybe it's different there, but the cost of living is also astronomical in those places.
absolutely. Absolutely. So you did your Oklahoma City for a month.
For a week.
Let's snap back for a quick bit. So you were a month in Florida, right? So did you earn enough to pay for your room and your food and whatever not? And did you come out with some pocket change, or how did the math go on that?
Yeah, I did in most of the places. I did a little bit better than break even,
Okay.
without completely overworking myself.
Okay.
Um, I pretty much most of the places I've had a goal, make at least 150 bucks a day, maybe take a day off a week or so.
Okay.
And in certain cities, I mean, you could do that in a few hours. Some cities it takes 6 or 7 hours. Like
Yeah.
I made a quick stop in Miami, and
Yeah.
I've found that so far to be the lowest paying market out there. The
Yeah.
oversaturation is crazy in Miami
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So you're not only you're traveling and you're testing markets for a future home that you may buy, but you're like on a reconnaissance mission, almost it looks like, right? So,
Yeah,
and then you're making some pocket change, enjoying yourself, seeing the country that you haven't seen. This is unbelievable. This is amazing. Okay,
it's been a
so
great journey. Yeah.
yeah, so okay, what next? Where'd you go next?
So from Oklahoma City, I went to Kansas City for a month.
Okay,
I got a good deal on an Airbnb.
okay,
So generally with these Airbnbs, if you book like 2 months ahead of time,
yeah,
maybe 3 months, you'll pretty much get most of the markets available to supply for the Airbnb market,
okay,
and you'll get a pretty decent deal. Almost every city I've had not much of an issue for $1,500 a month or less, finding
okay,
a pretty good apartment. So this one in Kansas City happened to be in the middle of downtown,
okay.
and the Kansas City market really surprised me.
Good,
Um,
bad?
Good. It was good. And the weekends, there was a lot more nightlife than I would have
Okay,
thought being out in the
okay,
Midwest.
okay,
And the surges late Friday, Saturday night really were what made it more than worth it.
okay. And,
And
and so you are. It seems like you are doing weekends and bar crowds and things like that. To maximize your earnings. I sure hope you have a dash cam, by the way. Uh,
I'm
and
still working on that, but I got to
oh,
get
you
that.
know, come
Yeah,
on, man, TJ, you gotta
yeah,
get a, you gotta get a dash cam.
absolutely.
If you do, especially if you're driving in all these different cities.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, and then what's after Kansas City?
So after Kansas City, I went to Nashville for a week.
Oh, okay,
And as a lot of people know, Nashville is one of the hottest real estate markets, and it's really been becoming super developed,
yeah,
and it's becoming one of the top tier one cities.
yeah,
Out of compared to the other ones, it's very big,
okay,
and starting to see definitely some oversaturation in
okay,
the rideshare market.
yeah.
But you could do decent out there. Just the cost of living has increased pretty substantially within the last 5, 10 years or so.
Right. So you're basically doing research, driving, and figuring out obviously cost of living. So if you do move to one of these cities ultimately, right,
Hmm.
and you settle down, are you going to do Uber and Lyft? And is that what you're planning on doing, or get a W-2, but do this as a side hustle? What are you doing?
So the plan is definitely to start out with Uber and Lyft,
Okay.
and then I'm going to kind of take it from there. I'm going to maybe apply for a trucking license, a
Okay.
CDL, and kind of just figuring out. I'm a very frugal guy, just trying to keep things as simple as possible, and doesn't take a lot to make me happy, And
Right.
I just want to,
I'm assuming you're not married, so that's why you can do this. If you were married, not a chance you
yeah,
can do this.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's freedom. There's
Okay,
definitely
so
some freedom.
Nashville, I hope you had some hot chicken and
Oh,
some
I
good
had
barbecue.
the hottest chicken.
Did you?
Um, yeah, I had the very hot sauce at Hattie B's, and
Wow.
that was the spiciest chicken I've ever tasted in my life.
Yeah, you didn't you got numb probably, your tongue got numb probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay, so after Nashville, what did you hit after Nashville?
After Nashville, I kind of came back to the tri-state area.
Okay.
My friend near Newark, New Jersey, he
Okay.
had an available apartment spot in his three-bed
Okay.
apartment. So I kind
Okay.
of did the New York City, New Jersey, Nashville, Newark suburbs, kind of
Okay.
over there.
Okay.
Um, and then I came back home for the month, had see some friends and family for this month. That's why I'm back home now. And then
Okay.
I have the rest of the year booked out through here.
Okay. So far you've hit a few cities. Which one's your favorite for work and for cost of living? And where would you, if you didn't have any more choices, where would you settle out of the few cities you've seen so far?
I think it's definitely going to be somewhere in the Midwest.
Okay.
Um, Kansas City, I liked a lot.
Okay.
Pittsburgh, I actually worked in Pittsburgh. I
Oh,
did some,
Pittsburgh. Okay. Okay.
yeah, last year I did some Lyft there for a week, which interested me in the city to go back and book a month later this year. So
Okay.
I want to reaffirm what's going on in Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Actually, you just had a driver a few days ago, Eric
Yep.
from Cleveland, and I was looking at maybe staying in Cleveland for a week or so. I wasn't too sure about how it'd be out there, and
Okay.
after hearing him, it really inspired me. Maybe this is somewhere that's a potential place that I want to check out longer term. So I actually booked a month out there
Okay.
later this year as well.
Okay. So you're already laying out the plans for what to hit next.
Yep.
So lifting across America. So are you really going to hit all 30 that you can
I,
easily drive or no, you're not, right? I mean, come on now.
I won't get to all 30. It's probably Kansas City's probably as far west as I would go.
Okay.
Um, just everything that I would need is really east of there, and
Okay.
like to be somewhat close to family and friends on the East Coast. You know.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you've been doing this for a while. I'm telling you, it's fascinating, not because you're lifting or you're driving Lyft, but you're going to all these different cities. You're trying to figure out, what works, what doesn't work. But then, do you think that the fundamentals, right, of rideshare driving does not change? There's fundamentals, right? I mean, there's garbage at every city, there's trash offers in every city. So I'm assuming, I don't want to speak for you, but you're still cherry picking even when you go to these different cities, right?
That is absolutely true. And some cities are better or worse than others. But no matter what market you're in, if you're not cherry picking, I mean, maybe there's some exceptions. I've heard about things about Boston and Minneapolis where there's a pay rate per
Yeah.
hour. Maybe those are the exceptions. But every market, you really have to be cherry picking. You have to have your options open. I mean, I can't do Uber, but I could do Uber Eats in most of these places.
Yeah.
So I'll always have that on in the background. DoorDash, and really just keep your options open, just like anything else in life. You gotta be open minded to anything.
Yeah. So it seems like you have all the tools in the toolbox, the major tools anyway. You have Uber Eats, Lyft, DoorDash. Do you have any other apps?
I mean, I have some other ones, but those are mainly the ones that are busy enough in most
Okay.
places.
Okay.
And in different cities, like in the Northeast, I've heard Lyft is used a little bit more than it is in some other cities, and some of that stuff is true. But
Okay.
it's been I try to so I try to stick to top 50, or really top 30, 40 metro
Yeah.
population areas in the U.S. So I'm staying in places that are going to be busy enough to make this worth it.
Okay. So give me a list of all the cities, even a day or a week you've driven so far.
So for a month, New York I've been in for a few years.
Right.
Um, Newark, New Jersey, over a
Right.
month. Orlando a month. Tampa a month. Could add Kansas City to that.
Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Okay.
I've been in and out of Philly. I'm actually going back there again at the end of this month.
Okay.
And for weeks long, Pittsburgh, Nashville, Oklahoma City. Um, that's probably about it on the weeks long ones for
Okay.
now.
Okay. All right. So we have a few more minutes remaining. Well, I'm telling you, this is fascinating. It's just I've heard of, you see, we have a few audience members when we did the show. Like there is Roxy, right? She's tough. And she drives in the winters, she drives and goes to Phoenix, Arizona. In the
Yep.
summers, she goes to San Antonio and Houston and places like that. So I call her my winter bird, right? She does pretty much what you do, but she's like a lot older than you, but she's tough. She's a tough lady. And but I have never had a driver or talked to a driver like you who has driven already in 10 cities, right? So how many more cities are in the plan? So tell me now, you're back in New York. When are you going
Hmm.
to take off again?
So actually, 3 weeks from now, I'll be in Philadelphia for a month.
Okay.
Then I'll return to Newark for a month because it's the last month of my friend's lease
Okay.
that he has the spare room.
Okay.
And then I'll be in Pittsburgh for a month, and then Cleveland for a month,
Okay. So you
which
you
brings me.
planned you have this all planned out.
Yeah, it's all booked. It's all Airbnbs already booked, and
Okay.
it's all set through pretty much Christmas.
Okay. And I mean, I know you said you're not going to hit 30 of them, or well, 30 that you can drive lifts easily, let's say.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm like, my thought process is here's a young guy who has, the freedom to do what he loves doing, right? And
Absolutely.
seems like, I mean, two birds with a stone. Like you want to
Yep.
settle somewhere outside New York, I don't blame you, right? Like New York is ridiculously expensive, like LA is, right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, okay. I mean, I think this is unbelievable. This is amazing. So, hey, folks, see, TJ, this is what he's doing. I mean, go see the country and make some money, and then find out where your future is going to be. No, this is amazing. And so we have a couple more minutes, and um, give us some advice because you've seen a lot. Like you've done all these cities, and you've seen a lot. List for me, if you can. I mean, not exactly, but list for me the best cities for rideshare from what you've seen so far, all the way from the top to the bottom.
That including cost of living to rideshare income, or
Everything, everything. Yeah, obviously we got to live somewhere. As rideshare drivers, we have rent, we have food
yes.
costs, we have insurance, we have all that stuff.
So cost of living and rideshare income, I would say Kansas City, out of the cities I've been to,
Okay,
is very much near the top.
okay,
I've known a friend that drove in St. Louis, and I did pass through St. Louis on my way from Kansas City to Nashville. And the rates a few months ago there, maybe they've changed now a little bit with all the pricing things going on, but
yeah,
the rates in St. Louis were pretty lucrative. I mean, higher than I've seen anywhere else. It
okay,
is the most dangerous city in the U.S. If you
yep,
look at statistics. Maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe that's a big part of the reason.
potentially.
But you got it's just like anything else. You got to be in places where other people don't want to be at times that they don't want to be. You know.
Okay. Well, so you are doing the three P's: patience, position, and planning, right? Even if you're new into a
Absolutely.
city, you got to apply those fundamentals to three P's: patience. You got to be patient. Don't accept everything thrown your way. Planning. You position yourself correctly. Like if you go to get stuck in suburbs with with a long trip or something like that, not only you're going dead mile back, but I mean your
Hmm.
day is pretty much dead. And
Yep.
then obviously plan your day. So I'm gonna give you the floor, man. Close the segment. This is fascinating. I'm definitely gonna keep in touch with you. So I want you to every time you go to a new city, you drive your 30 days and then send me an email and go, Serge, this looks good to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because as you know, we have a lot of complainers, right? They all
Absolutely.
complain. And I'm going like, why are you guys complaining? And the next day you're turning the app back on again. I mean, come on now.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's what we're going to do. But give us some advice, any kind of advice. It doesn't have to be rideshare. It could be life advice. It could be all this adventure that you're on. It's not for everyone. I get it. But I think it's a fascinating story.
I appreciate that, Serge, and of course I will keep you updated month to month, week to week on the new cities I go to. But yeah, generally part of this trip is travel. I've done some fun things too. It hasn't been all work every day. I went
Okay.
to a Royals game in Kansas City. That was an amazing time. I took a day trip up to Omaha, and I've taken a few adventures on the side as well. Um, but I found that the pay pretty much throughout the country is similar, besides some of those tier one cities.
Yeah.
So if you can get to a city with a good cost of living, if you have that flexibility, it's like anything else with flexibility. If you have the flexibility of place, of time, of hours, of anything really, you got to use that to your advantage. The
Yeah.
flexibility of multiple apps at the same time, and look for where the value is. There's always value, and there's always a reason why there's value, and you got to determine if the value is worth it to you personally. And this is I've always traveled. I've traveled around the world. A few years back, I did a 6 continent, 6 month trip. So I've always enjoyed traveling, and this is a way to travel and kind of work at the same time. I'm having fun with it, you know.
Yeah. Well, here's TJ. I'm gonna call him from New York, but he's a man of many hats from many different cities, and we're gonna find out where he settles ultimately. Hopefully, I'm still doing what I'm doing by then. So,
I hope
so
so.
make it quick because I don't think I have that much time. So, like, so yeah, man. I truly appreciate you doing this. I think our audience will learn quite a bit from you, and that it is possible. If you're stuck in a rut, get out, man. Go take your car and take a trip and drive a little bit, make some money. He's doing it. I mean, if he's doing it, right? And if you don't have any attachments and any family, whatever, I mean, I'm sure he's got a dad and mom and sister, whatever, but we're talking about wife and kids. Then you're kind of anchored. You can't do it. He has no anchor. He's enjoying it. Well, I appreciate it, sir. I really do. Thank you so much for doing this. And, we'll see you on the road. Should we say that?
Yeah, I appreciate you, Serge. Thank you for all the valuable information you've given to me and everybody that watches this channel. And I'll do my best to keep you guys updated. And it's been a journey.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Please stay healthy and please get a dash cam and please be safe.
I will. You stay healthy as well. Stay
All
safe.
right. Take care now.
All right. Take care.
Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the Rideshare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel as well as amazing content on our channel.